I think we can go ahead and get started. And as I mentioned in the email, first of all, thanks for making the time on probably a busy day for everybody, Monday morning or Monday afternoon for this call. We will be recording things, so if you missed something or need to go back and reference something, we will send this recording around after our meeting today. But again, thanks for everyone to joining us. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking today. I'm going to hand it right over to Erica, our government relations manager, to walk you through the what, the why, and the how for today.
Thank you so much, Kara, and thank you very much to all of you who are joining us today, and then those of you who are watching this in the future. We just so appreciate all of your advocacy on behalf of J1 summer travel programs. And I think something to keep in mind for this particular request, which is going to require a bit more time and a bit more doing for all of you, is that you're not just helping yourself, you're also really helping participants more broadly, because when people take the time to submit a constituent services request, it does raise the profile of the issue, which is ultimately our goal. So I'm just going to talk you through kind of where we are right now with visas. So I'm sure you're starting to hear from participants, and we've been as up to date as we possibly can be with all of you. But it still just seems to be a real issue for participants from most countries to get visa appointments for their interviews. We are trying to, work with consulates directly. We've been in constant contact with lots of members of Congress, so we've really been raising the issue. We've had some great advocacy successes, including a letter last week from senators. We got 5 senators to sign on, including Senator Menendez, who chairs the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, which oversees the State Department. So there are a lot of people that are really interested in this issue. And so we can think of the constituent services piece as another tool in the kit. And something that to keep in mind through this entire process is that, you are a constituent, and for these offices, helping you is their job. So that's ultimately why senators and representatives are in Congress. It's to represent their constituents and to help them with things that come up that have to do with the federal government. So, it's really their job to help you. That's not to say you shouldn't be very courteous and thankful and lots of gratitude. But I would also say just don't be intimidated by the process. So what I'm going to do is walk you guys through step by step how you submit a constituent services request. And unlike a lot of our other advocacy campaigns, if you've participated in one of our grassroots campaigns where it's a click, contact your member of Congress, it's a few more steps. And it's also a few more steps in the fact that I can't help you in the same way, if that makes sense. So because you are a constituent, you'll be calling a local office as opposed to the DC office. So let me just share my screen here, and I'm just going to talk you right through it. So this is the document that we put together for you all. So to begin, and we have a little bit of an explanation at the top about why we're doing this. So the first thing that you do is figure out who your representatives and senators are. I know some of you represent multiple sites of activity. So for those, you can absolutely submit multiple constituent services requests in multiple states, districts. There's nothing to prevent you from doing that. It will take you more time. So what you're going to do is to ask them to open a constituent services casework request. And once that casework gets opened, it's actually a little bit like what happens with us if you've ever had a State Department case. So they're required to just follow through until it's resolved in some way. And so most of these offices will have on their website, they'll say agency assistance or help with a federal agency. So I'll show you what that looks like. So we included in the document a link. We've definitely got some pretty seasoned advocates on here. So I'm sure you know who your representatives and senators are. But if you, I'll assume we don't. So I'm going to go to Shelley Pingree office. And I'm just going to kind of look around here. So you'll see on the top, and most of the members are similar, they'll say services at the top. And she actually has immigration and visas here. So this is a whole information about here. And then I will be, you're watching me do this in real time. So I didn't look at this one earlier. So you sometimes just have to hop around a little bit. But so you'll see here, the immigration one was actually not what I wanted because that was just information. But you'll see there's a phone number here. So if you need help, please call my office, and that's a Constituent Services number. Or you can fill out and mail a casework form. I would generally not recommend doing that for mail, but you can submit it through email here. And I'll just show you a couple more of these. So this is Susan Collins, which is one of our senators in Maine. Again, I got here, I go to services. You'll see it says federal agency help. That's generally the one that you're going to look for. If you can't find it for some reason, definitely, feel free to send me a note and I can help you find it. So this, you can see it's divided out who you call based off of your county or where exactly you live. There's also, this is Angus King, similar. So he also has it broken out by where you live. Generally, senators are going to have it geographic because they serve the entire state. So then once I have this phone number, I am going to call or email or fill out a form. Importantly, if you have another contact in the office, so somebody that you've met with on a previous employer forum, for example, it's great to CC them, but they're generally not going to be the person who's going to be managing the constituent services request. It's going to be the person in the district office who covers your area. So you are going to make a call and or make an email request. And when you talk to the staffer, you should be assigned a specific person. Again, think of it as like a caseload. And you should make sure when you talk on the phone with them that you get that person's information. So get their email address, get a direct line if you can. So you're going to introduce yourself, say that you're a constituent, explain that you're a host employer, and then explain the issue, which is that the State Department is not processing the visas in the time frame that you need to make your summer season, and you need their help immediately. Then you will provide them a list of your international participants, what stage they're at in the visa application process if you know that, you may not, and when you need them to arrive in the United States. So you can just include their job start date. Ask that an individualized casework be opened on your behalf to support the visa applications. Once you initiate that request, let us know. You can let me know. I think you all have my email address, but we'll make sure to follow that up. And also just make sure that you send us a copy of any of the materials that you send to the offices. And so if you don't have a DC contact, I'll be sure to flag it for the DC contact as well. So here is a sample correspondence. So I would say, I am Erica Carly Harris, Manager of Government Affairs at CIEE, a host employer for a Bridge USA program through CIEE. I'm planning to host 75 international participants on the summer work travel program. If my participants do not arrive by June 15th, I will have to significantly scale back my business operations, turn away customers, lose dollars in revenue. This is where, so some of these forms have a limit on how many characters that you can have. So if you're filling out an online form, you might have to be pretty short in what you say. And you might not be able to include all of the student information, but you should say, please open up a constituent services case for me, and I will provide that individual information. So this is also, if you do have time, and then as you're going kind of back and forth through an email correspondence, the more data that you can share with the office, the better. So for example, and you can look at last summer. So you might say, I couldn't open 20% of my hotel. It wasn't because I didn't have people to stay in that portion of the hotel. It was because I didn't have housekeepers. And, any place that you can bring in economic impact data, that's really, really helpful. Again, generally with these, the more documentation that you can provide, the better. So you would be putting in, for each of these participants, the name, the country, and then if you have it, the stage of the visa application, if you know which consulate they're applying for some of the larger areas, include that as well. And then just asking again for help in resolving this issue. So something to keep in mind, and Kara, feel free to jump in here. If you want to pull a roster of your hires, we have this in the resource center here, and it has detailed instructions on how to do that.
Yeah, the only thing I would mention, and we talked about this in last week's webinars, is that unfortunately right now, when we're pulling rosters through the CIEE host portal, your returners won't show up. Presumably many of you who have returners have been tracking their applications as you receive the DocuSign and using the extra Excel sheet that we had provided. But if you feel that you want a clean report, especially for this activity of who's already hired for you, feel free to email Jamie and I both at the hire@ciie.org inbox. And I would just flag it to us because we do continue to be busy and we know that this is timely. So if you can just put in the subject of the email, something like constituent services request, that will help us sort and the emails and prioritize for you.
Thanks, Kara. Does anyone have any questions? Feel free to type in the Q&A box or in the chat. See. I don't see any questions.
Erica, one question that I have as I listen to you is, if with the stage in the visa application process, you said if someone knows it, I mean, presumably students are waiting to apply or have had their DS 2019 form issued. Is there anything that's standard in that sense, unless a host actually knows that a participant has been able to at least schedule an appointment that maybe is too far out in the future?
Yeah, I would say unless you know that the participant has an appointment, you can just say not yet secured appointment.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Any others? I don't see any.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Again, we know this was a last minute come together and really appreciate you carving out time on your busy Monday. I will work to get an email out by the end of today with the recording from here, along with, again, the instructions that I had initially sent so you can start working, and a contact for Erica should you get stuck anywhere along the process. Erica or Jamie and I are happy to help you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it. This really does make a big difference.